You only have to go back to the 80s and 90s to see that working for a fire service was pretty one-dimensional. You see, when I started, I even got congratulated for being posted to a busy station. Busy station, think about it. In simple terms, it meant a community in trouble. 200 people died in fires on Merseyside during that decade. God knows how many more were injured. In the grand scheme of things, we were doing an amazing job saving lives and property. But there comes a point where you think, there's got to be a better way than this. We'd spent the last 50 years putting out fires, but very little energy or time trying to prevent them. The time had come to do something radical, and that meant doing this. Going out into the communities, stepping out onto the streets, full uniform and all, and actually talking to people. Thing is, you know the old saying, you can lead a horse to water. Even in an ordinary street like this, there's going to be some people you just can't connect with. For whatever reason, unable to hear the doorbell, unable to get to the door, no phone, worried about opening the door, the list goes on. But when we began to analyse the reasons why we weren't reaching some sections of our communities, we realised something crucial in this whole exercise. It was the most vulnerable people who were likely to slip under the radar, and yet it was the same social group who were most at risk. So we were going to have to do something about it. Just knocking on doors wasn't going to get the whole job done. By working with other agencies to prevent fires instead of just passing the mess on to them after one, it made us open our eyes and we could see we had a lot to learn. And being honest enough to admit we didn't have the knowledge or skills yet to deal with the really vulnerable, we were bold enough to go and get the people who did.
The aim was to keep older people safe from fire, make them far more aware of the risks and the safety measures that they could take. Sometimes some of the things people might be perhaps not closing a door just because the handles are stiff. Then in that case I can get a handy person out and the repair. Sometimes it's only silly little tiny things that can make such a difference.
Knock on the door, two fire officers said, "Have you got smoke alarm?" And came in, fitted it. We had a bit of a natter and they explained that the fire and rescue service had an advocate system for older people. And we found out that we were entitled to a lot of stuff that we just didn't know about. So all in all, it's turned our lives around quite considerably.
I think you find that most firefighters would agree that the majority of house fires are caused by a combination of smoking and alcohol use. After the initial home fire safety check, if there's any concerns from the firefighters, they will refer their findings to me and see if I can go in and reduce the risks even further. No matter how long they've been smoking for, there's all sorts of agencies out there that we can refer them into, such as the Roy Castle Lung Foundation, and there's the personal health trainers as well. The knock-on effect will be a reduced risk of accidental house fires, which will increase our firefighters' safety.
Starting the role as an antisocial behaviour advocate, I got given the task of hoax calls and trying to reduce hoax calls. We work quite closely with the local media, the radio, the local newspapers, and over the last 2 years we've seen a massive reduction of approximately 47% in hoax calls. We've had an attack on a fire crew and we've been out, we've viewed the CCTV from the fire engine, we've picked up a good footage, we've been out and spoken to the community, which has led to us working with the police and catching someone, bringing them to justice. It's a good feeling to go home and think that you're doing that job.
We become conditioned to think that social issues such as poverty and lifestyle choices, especially around smoking and alcohol, were things beyond our influence, unsolvable if you like. You've been to too many jobs, I suppose. It wasn't just the knowledge. The other crucial thing the advocates brought was time. They had the time to look at the higher risks and get things done. Time that we just can't guarantee. There's over 100,000 young adults living across Merseyside. So let's get things into perspective for a minute. It was only a tiny fraction of these that were causing us real problems. 10 or 20 years ago, we would have passed the buck, let someone else sort it. Things were changing. The schools were a great starting point. We needed to get the kids thinking about the firefighters, the ordinary men and women behind the uniform. As I said, this was a decent starting point. The trouble is, Our work in the schools felt a bit like our work at an incident. You know, you get a call, you turn up, do your job and you leave.
We decided to take things to another level. If we were serious about engaging with young people, we had to communicate with them regularly and consistently. That meant going into schools, staying there. Not every firefighter wants to go back to school. And let's be real, we're not going to catch every kid in school. We're going to catch him here though. The thing is, it's important that once we're involved, we stay involved. Schools, sports clubs, any organisations working with young people were starting to look at how firefighters could support or lead their projects. And the job, they just let us get on with it and find out for ourselves what was possible. Be honest, if it wasn't for these dead giveaways, you'd never even thought you were in a fire station. But this one is right in the heart of the community, right in the centre where it matters. And we're building more just like this one.
You see, the more time we spend out there, the more opportunities there are for people to come in here. I'm just about old enough to remember that we weren't always as welcoming. But 10 years ago when we promised a home safety check for every home and every street, it changed the way we looked at the job. And now with the lowest fire death and injury statistics on record, we know for certain that we took the right path. We've achieved what we set out to do, to reduce the risk of fire in every street. And along the way achieved so many other things too. The third and most recent Beacon Award for reducing health inequalities shows that we not only understand the wider social issues that affect our communities, but that we've got some solutions too.
400,000 homes visited, more and more people protected, and a real sense that we've become part of the community we serve. We couldn't have done it without the assistance of so many partners. Local authorities, housing associations, primary care trusts, the police, there's too many to name. And of course, our fantastic staff.